Welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. Today taking a look at the Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse Wave 2 Magneto. Now I'm not going to go too much into detail about the character in the book, so just so you have a read because the character is pretty deep in it. The figure comes with 2 closed fists as well as 2 effect pieces, as well as a masked head and the unmasked head. Now both heads have the long hair and the braided pieces down the front, which are reminiscent of how he looked in the comic books. There's a nice little detail here on the top of the helmet as well, and from what I can tell the face sculpt is pretty decent underneath as well. It's a really nice sort of alternate head. It's always good to have both masked and unmasked heads versions of Magneto in a Magneto figure. Now let me just take it off and have a little bit of a closer look. Now the eyebrow on the left side of mine here, it looks like it's a little bit misprinted. It might just be how I'm looking at it, but it looks a little bit off the paint there. But the actual face sculpt is really nice. I really like that kind of expression that they put on him. Let's just have a look at the masked head, how that looks on. Now the heads pop on and off quite easily. No real problems there, and the head's got a bit of movement in it as well, so you can move the hair around. So yeah, all in all, he looks pretty nice. Let's just move those pieces out of the way. Now this seems to be a new cape. It's not similar to the ones that we've had before, and it's quite hard actually. It's quite solid. The belt can be moved. All the articulation is what you would expect in a 6-inch figure. He's not pinless, so you can see the pins, but obviously his costume is all the same colour, so it's not a big deal. Now this is the Family Matters Magneto that came in the free pack. He is my kind of go-to Magneto, my standard one that I've got kind of front and centre of my X-Men display. Let's just move this guy over a little bit and I'll pull in some of the others. Now we've got the white costume that we got with the Powers of X, the recent sort of Dawn of X, Powers of X wave. And we've also had the previous modern kind of black and red version as well. So there we go. So we've got the modern one, we've got the white one from Power of X, we've got the Age of Apocalypse one, and we've got the kind of classic Jim Lee look. All in all, very different looks. You can see that all 4 of them have different capes. I must admit that the Age of Apocalypse one, his head looks a little bit small in comparison to the others. When you actually line all 4 of them up here, he's definitely got the smallest helmet, which is a shame. Now this isn't something that I noticed when he was stood on his own, only when I stood him next to other versions of himself. So on a shelf, it's not really going to make a huge difference. Now let me just take away these 2, as I want to make some more close comparisons between these 2. If I just take his head off quickly, just to have a look at the cape again, there's not actually a peg hole. So there's a peg hole, sorry, on the figure, but there's not a peg on the cape, which all the other ones do have. All of the other capes do have a peg that goes into that hole on the back, whereas this one just kind of hangs on him and is held in place by the weight, as you can see there. Now if I put his unmasked head on, now this is definitely my favourite of the 2. I think it's just there's something very cool about seeing all that kind of hair out. The modern version, the black and red one, did also come with a unmasked head. Now I've used that. This is the head here. Now I use this head on my sort of classic Magneto. So take the helmeted head off, put the unmasked head on, and then that's kind of how I display my Magneto on the shelf. Now obviously he's missing his helmet, so what I did is one of the spare Magneto heads I've had from my fodder box, I took the face out so that I've just got the helmet, and I just kind of have him hold it just like that. And that's pretty much how my Magneto looks on the shelf. Now looking at the 2 unmasked heads, there's obviously a difference in hair colour. So the Age of Apocalypse has got a more grey tone to it, and the face is a bit of a different tone as well. I've just actually had a thought. If I take this head off and I take the new cape off of the Age of Apocalypse and put it on the classic, along with the kind of more classic looking head, that makes a pretty decent Magneto. Now obviously that's a few different figures that you're going to have to put together. So that's the black and red for the unmasked head, it's the Family Matters pack for the body, and then it'd be the cape from the Age of Apocalypse. So it's 3 figures to make up that look, but it actually looks quite good as a kind of a classic standard Magneto. I might have a play around with that in some photographs. Anyway, putting him back, let's have a look at Age of Apocalypse before we run out of time. So all in all, he is a really cool figure. Now he doesn't come with a builder figure piece, so you don't need to get him in order to build the Colossus. Let me just put the effect pieces here on his wrists. Now these have kind of become a staple part of Magneto figures. They kind of released this effect piece with most of the Magnetos in various different kind of colours and shades and stuff. But I don't mind it. I think it looks quite good. It kind of implies that he's using his powers. Now obviously we couldn't have an Age of Apocalypse wave without a Magneto, so I'm really pleased that they've given us one, and they've definitely done him justice with the 2 versions of the head and the figure as a whole. I'm really pleased. I think that he's a nice addition to the Age of Apocalypse shelf. Do check out my other 5-minute figure reviews. All the other Age of Apocalypse figures are on there, and I will see you soon. Oh, yeah.